Is it really? When's your call? April 22nd. And so the 24th, I'm soloing orchestra. And that night we have a PYO. Oh my god. That's the worst weekend for everything. My problem is like it's the last day of our day. Well, I guess it's no basis. It is.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm very happy to see you here, and then we're back to rehearsals and such. And today we're very fortunate to have a member of the Aizuri Quartet with us today. She's been with us before, as we just discussed in the hallway, a long time ago as an adjudicator for our concerto competition a number of years ago, and we've crossed paths another time. And of course, she was a student here in Philadelphia at Curtis at one point. So Philadelphia is sort of you're revisiting Philadelphia. So we're very thankful that you're with us today. Ayane Kozasa is a wonderful violist and also a founding member of the Aizuri Quartet, which has won a lot of awards and things. And I did connect with you this week to look up their website and her website, and I hope you did, so that you understand the folks you're with. But she's with us in person today, which we're very thankful for. We're going to hear from two of our groups to work for her. The Leone Serenade, it's a trio, and they'll be playing the first movement of that piece, the Marcia, and then the members of our Schumann piano quintet, and they'll be playing part of the first movement of the Schumann quintet. The trio is coached by Rachel Freivogel from the Jasper Quartet, and the quartet or the quintet is coached by Chuck Parker, who is our chamber music coordinator and longtime coach here. So we're very happy to have you all play for her and to hear her comments to help everybody grow and add a little bit more to their toolkit here. So without further ado, let's welcome Ms. Kozasa. And let's hear from the
Is that a loose tan? Yeah. Got a fake book on there. Let me show you this.
Thank you.
I use paper parts too, so that's happened to me.
Okay.
A couple of times also. It happens. Why don't we just like start from the beginning again? Maybe then.
Sounds good.
It's a short movement. Bravo. That's awesome. Yeah, it sounds so good. Your intonation is amazing. And this is such like a tonal C major goodness movement that like it's crucial to be very, very in tune with each other. And I feel like you're balancing well with each other in terms of the chords. And I hear those chordal like works that practicing that you've done. So that's really great. How long have you been working on this? Oh wow, so it's pretty new. It sounds very well, like it like sits in your instruments, and it sounds very well rehearsed. So it sounds like you've been practicing it for months. It's awesome. I think the next level for this movement would be to really lean into the contrast of the dynamics. When I was eavesdropping when you were practicing in the hallway, there were somehow, and it might have been just like the nature of the acoustics of like practicing in a boomier hallway, but your difference between your forte and your pianos were amazing. And as a performer, we always have to not only like take into account the music that we're playing and all the technical stuff that we have to do, but we also have to think about the sound that we produce in the room, because each room is going to be very different. So like this room is a little bit drier than like playing in a hallway. And so how do we think about projection in a space like this? And I think one thing that you can do, I think your pianos are pretty good. They're really beautiful and delicate. I think on the other end, the fortes can just have a lot more body to their sound. So what are some ways that we can like, especially like, say like the beginning. It's kind of like a fanfare. And you kind of want to like blow us away with like a magnificent sound. So what are some things we can think about to like bring that kind of depth and I guess bombasticness in some way? Yeah, what can we do with our technique that, do you guys have any thoughts about like how you can like project more sound?
Like playing closer to the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking of a faster bow speed.
Faster bow speed. Actually, that was something I was thinking that I would love to see a little bit more is playing closer, yes, and also finding that sweet spot where you can play closer to the bridge but also having a faster bow speed. I think the beauty of this movement is that there are a lot of resonating open strings. So you can kind of take advantage of that by using faster bow speed. I would love to see whole bows for all of those notes. Let me get this one. And it's also, I think, in the cue that you give at the beginning. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your names. Can I get your names real quick?
Daniel.
Daniel? Aaron?
Zoe.
Zoe, okay. So Daniel, you're giving the cue at the beginning. So I think you can, the way, I think the cue always needs to also embody the character. And I think it's a very clear cue that you're giving. But I also love, in addition to the clarity, I would love to see what mood are we about to experience. So instead of, I would love to see something with a little bit more intensity. Can you try that? So more bow speed and cue with fire. Good. I loved it. It like surprised me. Just that like grabbing the attention of the listeners too. And I loved how you guys were just as involved within that cue. I saw you guys cue together and that was really great. And I think as you get to the pianissimo that comes up, what is it? I don't know if this is the right word. To me, for that diminuendo that leads to the pianissimo is kind of like a melting that happens. Like you have so much energy to like share with everyone, and then it just kind of melts. And then there's a certain poise that I think happens at the pianissimo. And this is the other thing that I felt like maybe you can work on as a next step is time between characters. So the contrast, so working on the contrast, the big and the small, but also making sure you give enough time for you yourself to change character. So as you meld I'm exaggerating, that's like adding a whole beat, but the time you give just to feel and one, to be in that kind of different, almost tiptoey feeling. Let's try one more time from the beginning and do the same thing. I love the bow speeds. I thought in this room, it gave so much more depth to the sound. So not only listen to yourself within your group, but imagine listening to the sound that's coming from here, like what we're all listening to, and cater to what your audience would want to hear sound like. Getting into the pianissimo is great, and then this is the same thing, getting into this next forte, contrast. So you have an eighth note, eighth rest to reset. I guess just for Daniel, and then the other two, you guys have a quarter note to reset. But Daniel, when you do the, I think I see you kind of breathing into that downbeat. I'd love to feel the same kind of energy that you gave at the beginning with your cue. That same breathing energy into that forte also. So I know we shouldn't project a surprise, or like we want to keep it a surprise to the audience, but I also need to immediately feel the energy shift right there. Can we start from, let's do the transition. So let's start from the pianissimo. And then I'd love to do this forte passage one more time and think about what Aaron was saying with the faster bow speed. Even when you do the 16th notes, I'd love to see kind of like a Christmas tree effect happen with your bow, where you're using, where I physically see the crescendo within the bow. It's less bow going into more bow. And it might feel like it's taking a risk of not being totally together, but I'd love to start from a place where we go for the gesture, and then later in your own practice you can kind of tweak it just a little bit to make sure that you're technically together, but I want to go for the same kind of da-da-da-da-da-da-da gesture together. Can we start from 13? Together, but going for like the gesture itself, I think that really worked. And then how do we amp up the energy even more in bar 20? Because that's our first fortissimo, right? What's like your plan there for that bar? Or do you have like a word that you guys go for, mood?
I wrote heft.
Heft? Ooh, I like that word. I haven't heard that word in a long time. Heft. I like it. Any other ideas?
I feel like the character is slightly
like a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I like those words a lot. I think in order to get that, it's all about like surprises to this movement, and I think if you look at the bar before, there's a crescendo, right? And technically, it's a crescendo from a forte, crescendo, and then a fortissimo. What I would love to hear, sorry, this sounds a little complex, but let me know if I'm not clear. But yeah, so there's a rest right before the fortissimo is written, right? I love to imagine that the crescendo is going through the rest. So where you end up in the bum 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 bum, that last note, is just one step below fortissimo. Oh wait, sorry. The step bum 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 bum. That last note before the next bar is one step below fortissimo. So then within that rest, you're still growing. Bum 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 bum. And then we hear like, oh my goodness, they have more to give. Can you imagine that crescendo just extending through the rest, that downbeat rest, and really just feeling like you're about to burst? Let's go from 17. Yes! Yeah. It's like, how could they possibly have more to give? Oh my goodness, they have more to give! That's the kind of feeling I want right there. And then let's keep moving on. So this next part, this piece has so many juicy viola parts. I love it. And I think, Zoe, your march rhythm sounds fantastic. In some ways, I would disregard that forte right there and just go for it. Like, think of it almost as like the same as the fortissimo we just came across. Because I think we do need to know, or just the audience needs to be just slightly just like, just ripped out to like be like, oh, we're doing something different, you know? And now for something entirely different kind of feeling. So I would just almost think of that forte as a fortissimo. And make sure that you end piano. I don't think you were giving it away at all, but I would love to really feel like I'm not expecting anything. And then you can balance to Aaron once he comes in. But those like first 2-3 beats that you're alone, like just go for it. I think we need to hear that transition. So let's start from the same spot, 17. Zoe, that was awesome. And then when it's 2 against 1 in terms of like melodic, harmonic, counter melody, and then 1 person on rhythm, I do feel like maybe you can come back up a little bit in the mix. I don't think you'll cover them at all. And then how are you guys feeling the 31, 2, 3, 34, that's forzando, with the decrescendo to piano. It's oddly very specific, some of these markings, like what the Honani wants. But how are you, I love the build up into it, and I kind of want to know your plan or your moods or ideas for that bar.
I feel like it feels kind of like disappointed in a way. It's like it's built up and then it's like, oh. It goes into, yeah, as the harmonies show, kind of.
Yeah. Any other thoughts? Also okay if you agree with that.
Yeah, I'll say this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's like you reach. I agree, and I like that. It's like you work so hard, and you reach so much for something, and then it falls at a very, maybe like unexpected place. Like, and I think the audience. I would love for the audience to hear that, like, as if you're really going even further, but you're coming down at a place where they didn't expect. And I think what I'm missing right now is, I feel like we get there and then the tension dissipates a little bit. It's kind of like I guess in technical speak, almost like there's a subito piano there right now. And I would love for it to feel somehow like it's like like that disappointed feeling instead of the release and then it relaxes. I think that's all to just say. I would love to hear more decrescendo and not a subito. That's all I actually am trying to say. But think about like the tension still going through that decrescendo rather than it going and then releasing. I think this might be the last thing we do. So can we go from? I don't know. Pick a spot before that. That's good for you guys. You know what? It's the last thing we do. Let's hear all the awesome solos one more time. So from your ta-da, ta-da.
Okay.
not telling you who you are seeing here, but
Oh, no,
you
it's
saw
fine. I should've
Daniel
asked.
Chi, violin, Aaron Liu, cello, and Zoe Yost, viola. So next, we're coming up with, we go from 3 to 5, we go to the Schumann Piano Quintet, the first movement. And these performers are Amelia Conavo, violin, Naomi Jean Main, violin, Helen Chi, viola, and Matthew Chung, cello. Phew, you know. Announcements with a mask on it. And then Sebastian picked piano. So, and they're coached by Mr. Parker. So, come on, guys.
amazing. So good, so beautiful, and so heartfelt, your performance. It's really, really awesome. Thank you for sharing. I think it sounds really wonderful, and the way that you project is really fantastic. And Sebastian, the way that you balance to the string players is really great, and vice versa too with the string players. I think what I would love to hear more as next steps would be, there are moments when the strings imitate the percussiveness of the piano. There's times when the piano imitates the lyricism of the strings. There's times when you guys are working independently from each other, and so you're kind of highlighting your strengths as string players and your strengths as pianists. I'd love to hear more of those differences, and when you are, for a lack of a better word, imitating the other instrument, I'd love to hear you kind of really just be one with the instrument. So like, it's a big movement, so maybe we can just focus on the beginning, but example, like the beginning, the first 2 bars, I'd love to hear a little bit more percussive head to the note from the strings, and highlight the fact that instead of sustaining through the half notes, each attack is either more, or there's a hierarchy to it, like the most, less, more, most, or something. Like, then that's totally up to you guys to decide. Instead of like, that's also really beautiful to kind of sing through the whole line. But also, I think to really imitate the way that the piano plays, the piano has 5 to 6 notes for every half note, and I feel like we should live inside of those the resonance of the piano. So I'm still sustaining, but there's a difference in the way I'm prioritizing the chords. And then, so those 2 bars are like really being one with the piano. And then the next 2 bars, and this is my opinion, but the next 2 bars for Helen, your part is kind of, to me, it's like highlighting the strings ability, because you're the only one with 8 notes. So I would love to hear more bow. I don't think it needs to sound super clear, because I think the function of your part right there is to fill out the sound with beautiful string viola sounds. So I would love to just hear like a wash of sound, and it's more of an effect. So those 2 bars are like highlighting the string part. And then we go back to highlighting being a part of the piano glorious sound. And then this is getting really specific, but I think this is important to really like study the score and know who you're with, And I'm sure you've done that already, but from the beginning, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I'm only using Helen as an example, just because I know your part the best. But I think this applies to everybody whenever this happens. So, but these next quarter notes, you're with the piano, right hand, right? And I would love to hear, instead of it being totally smooth, to hear a little bit of that, as if somebody's pushing your sound, like on a piano. So it's almost like I'm giving extra articulation in the left hand, combined with a little bit of this like woo 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 sound in the bow. to feel all of a sudden for just that bar that you're a pianist, and then come back to being a string player. And then because 2 bars later, or 3 bars later, when both you and Matthew have the quarter notes, if you do play it more with articulation over the slur, that kind of transitions us well into those piano chords again. Does that make sense? You know what I'm talking about? So can we try from the beginning one more time and think about how you toggle and then how you become one and then how you highlight yourself a little bit and experiment with that mindset. Sorry, it's a little meta, but think about this first few bars about how you really be a part of like a piano chord instead of like sustaining like a string player. Can you start from the beginning? Purposes of today, like pick one way. So there's 4 chords. Which one is what's the shape? Honestly, we can just pick any shape and just as long as we do it together.
I feel like the first 2 bars are really like dum 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 dum, just like that. Sorry, I can't say that. For the first beat of the third measure.
Dun dun. So it's like increasing. Dun 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 bum.
I think so.
And then it's kind of exponential, like extra on the 4th one. Okay, let's try it. Dum bum 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 bum. Yeah. Sebastian, can you play the first 4 bars for us? And really listen to the inside of the half notes when it's played on the piano. Yeah. Can you play the first 2 bars one more time? Yeah. So for me, what I hear is this very clear articulation at the beginning and then this resonance that happens. And it's almost this like round sound instead of, for us, what we would naturally do with these kinds of brilliant half notes would be to make it more of a solid sound. And this is what I mean by the sustaining. But that's kind of how we would naturally play those. But and I'm trying to do the shape that you were asking for. Can we try where we still keep that awesome articulation you have, but try and find a sound that does in some ways release within the half notes, but always thinking about the through thread of the melodic line. One more time. I can hear it. I would go even more for that gesture, and this is just one way of playing it. And then Helen, can we try where you just go for broke? And they'll hold you, with their pillars of their quarter notes, but you just and then come back. One more time. think that's like minimal for me, but I love it. I think that just gives that extra energy that's sustained throughout that bar, those 2 bars, every time it happens. And I think for the listener, what's happening? You know, like who's making that sound? It's so good. And then I loved how you guys were kind of bringing out those da 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 quarter notes a little bit more. I think just finding those moments where you do attach with the piano part a little, and then come apart or like do something different, and really finding the percussive quality, appreciating the percussive quality of the piano would be great. Can we skip to a different part and I can show you where Sebastian, maybe you can embodies a little bit of string playing. Let's see. In the development, I don't know if I remember, but when you start the you know what I'm talking about, after big number 5.
Yeah.
So for me here, I think your left hand is very much a piano part, and then your right hand to me is as if like you had a bow and you're going and I think that for the string parts, we can really, this is a moment where I think we can really sustain and sing through these half notes. So I think the function of the half notes and these rhythms really change, and that's something that we need to pay attention to. Can we try from, why don't we just, can we try from big number 5? For me, I think having just more small shapes. I'm sorry, I can't play your part, but like, and really feeling like, even if it's non-legato, that as if your 8 notes are kind of wrapping around their long notes as you play them. And for the string players, can we try one more time? And I don't know if this is gonna work, but if, I think that you're getting really great harmonies. I'd love to hear a little more bow, maybe. Can we try that? Right now, I love the contained sound you're getting to balance, but I'm missing the lush part of it because you're really careful about not making too much sound. But I wonder, as like a listener, I actually miss some of the harmonic integrity of it. So I'd love to hear more. Instead of enough movement within the bow so that Sebastian can kind of, like, if we were looking at it visually, wrap his sound around it. Can we try one more time? Yeah. From balance wise, for me, I think that works really nicely, and it really highlights the things that a string instrument can do best, and like in terms of singing and sustaining. So that's one part that I feel like it really kind of caters to a string instrument. So for me, yeah, just like identifying and being very clear about what kind of sound you're making and what who you're playing together with. Is it percussive? Is it more melodic and lush? I think just like going in and doing those details would be the next step for me. Of course, like when you two have your can we do that one? That part? Just choose one of them? Because that's my favorite. That's like definitely a string moment. Is that a big number 2? Okay. Yeah, beautiful. Sorry. I should have let you do that one. It's really beautiful. What are some like words that you associate with this phrase, this particular part of the piece? I mean, anyone can answer.
Relaxed.
Relaxed. I like that. Yeah.
It feels very romantic, right?
Romantic. Mhm. Yeah, totally.
And kind of effortless.
Effortless. I like that too. Yeah. Released. That's true. There's a lot of tension that happens before, and then you come to this like romantic major part. Yeah. Yeah, I love all those words. Love, love, love. I think if we're gonna go for that, I wonder, Sebastian, in your piano part, I wonder if you can like usher that relaxed, effortless feel a little bit more by, in technical speak, ever so slightly moving forward. Bum, 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 bum. Instead of thinking about, right now from the outside, it feels a little bit like you're counting in 2 in the bar. Bum, 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 bum. But I love to feel a little bit more 1 or even 1 beat every 2 bars. Like bum, 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 bum. To get that effortless, relaxing, soaring feeling. And if you have that underneath you, could we try, what's your bowing for this? This is my last thing.
I'm just doing it too.
Okay, good. Sometimes I cheat. I do. If like my heart moves me, can we just do it where just don't mind the bowings, but just do some where you really feel the expansiveness of what Sebastian gives you, and just try and find a bowing and a gesture that really feels soaring. Yes. Intensity, yes. So good. That was really beautiful, and I feel like even in the times that you didn't do the printed like dot slur dot and another slur bowing, I still felt the overall big slur, and I think that's the most important thing. Also, this phrase comes back like if you, especially if you do like the repeat and stuff. Many times. So I do feel like that's licensed to like change it up a bit and see what you come up with in the moment too. But I loved just like having a little bit more longer feeling on the bottom and then just you kind of creating as you go in that way. It was very, very beautiful. But yeah, nothing more to say. You guys are awesome. Beautiful playing.
I want to just once more thank Ms. Kozasa for being with us today, and especially bring out to you that her appearance with us and her time with us today is made possible by our good friends at the Philadelphia Chamber Music Society, who have looked out for us many, many times over the years, and this is just one of them. So we're very grateful to them and to you for being with us today and to sharing with us. And if you guys haven't looked up the Aizuri Quartet, please make sure you do so, because they're doing some very, very great things with chamber music, and it's so important for you to know what's going on out there. So thank you once again.
Thank you.